We'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order. The next item is number 13, which is discuss an act on payroll computation for an employee for the 2016 fiscal year. Mr. Dawkins, the floor is yours.
Thank you, gentlemen, again. What I'm going to try to do is maybe touch on how we compute our payroll computation and the conflict between the reality of what we're paying in our budget and our books and records. And then also, and y'all know me, when I'm through, I'm going to make a recommendation. Y'all can y'all do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to make a recommendation. So if you'll bear with me just a minute, and what I'm going to do is we have full-time employees and we have part-time employees. Typically, when we talk about hiring full-time employees as clerks or sheriff's department, we quote a salary. Typically, when we have part-time employees, we quote an hourly rate. For example, if we were hiring a clerk and you called whoever that elected official was or that department head, and they say, yes, we have the opening, what are you paying? I'm going to do the easy math, okay? You're paying $20,800 a year. That's what you quote. If it were, for example, I think the elections administrator that Mrs. Burton just went through in that interview process, they quoted, because it was a part-time position, like $10 an hour. I think Commissioner Smith, I think y'all all do that in Commissioner Worsham, on your part-time people and your full-time people. Now, there's 20,800 working hours in a year.
2,080.
2,080 working hours in a year, and that's the 8 hours a day, for the full year, the 52 weeks. Because we pay bi-weekly, the number of the compensation will not always work out to be $20,800 a year. So we need to adjust something to make the budget and the actual compensation come in line. We, through accounting, book compensation in the appropriate period, which may or may not coincide with the budget. So what I think I'd like to do is talk to y'all about next year, when the budget is prepared, come to the payroll department as payroll clerks, let us calculate the actual compensation that will go into the budget for that period of time. For example, on the clerk that's the $20,800, it may actually be $20,950 by the time you move the days in and out to make the actual compensation on our books and records agree with the budget. That's the real short version. So I think if we'll pay more attention in the budgeting process, we won't have. But the question is, what controls? The compensation or the budget? I just assumed the budget controlled, okay? And that probably was not a correct assumption. I think we need to let the salaries control what goes into the budget. Now, and I'm going to make this real short, real quick, okay? What I'm going to recommend to Commissioners Court is that we go back and restore compensation not based on the 27 pay periods, but based on the 26 pay periods. If, for example, if you were to make $20,800 a year, then we're going to restore that back to, if you will, we're going to calculate the $10 an hour, so that everybody, instead of the $20,800 being spread over 27 periods, it'd be spread over 26, because their current hourly rate over 27 pay periods is $9.62 an hour, not the $10 an hour. And I think that's a lot of the issue that's come up. And so I'm going to recommend, because here's what we can do on the books. And incidentally, I talked to our outside auditor, Mrs. Johnson, Kim Johnson, and she's in full agreement with this, so we have no conflict there. We have no auditing or problems, is that we go back and restore everybody's salary. We'll make up for the back period of time, about 2 weeks. Restore everybody back, for example, if you were $20,800 a year to $10 an hour. Here's what's going to happen when we do that. I picked our first payroll for the month of October, and by the time we do salaries, payroll taxes, retirement, workers' comp, and also unemployment, we had a base gross payroll of $83,000, but with benefits, it totals up to about $98,000 per payroll. What we can do is, even if we go back and restore it this year, we don't have to take per books the full hit of $100,000 this fiscal year. I'm talking about 2016. I can move half of that to 2017. Not exactly half, but 53%. I can move half of that to next year, and we can address it and put the numbers in and address it in the budget. If that makes sense. We're going to take a hit this year because we can't do anything about the 27 pay periods. But I think that...
Correct me if I'm wrong, we have 27 pay periods, we have 27 pay days in this. And I was understanding that first pay day, which covered like 2 days of October.
No, first pay day didn't cover anything in October. The first pay day was for September.
Okay.
It covered 2 days, the first and second.
No, it didn't.
No, because you
Did not.
were.
You get paid a week
Yeah.
after your payroll period.
No.
So what we did was the second pay period was paying in October and September.
The cash is going to work out the same.
Right.
Okay, cash is not going to make, it's just a budgeting issue is all that really is. And the...
Is this all because of leap year, which is 1 day?
Well,
No.
it's leap year and that
No.
10-year anomaly, okay? It's a combination of both. I use leap year as an example because that can happen to you, and we see that on a more consistent basis. This is an anomaly, okay? And it doesn't happen, and we'll be ready for it next time, or whoever will be ready for it 10 years from now. But,
No,
So-
12 years.
12 years, okay, I'll go with 12, I'm good with that. But I'm just recommending to the Commissioners Court that we go back and restore everybody's paycheck to what they were expecting. We're going to take a little hit on our budget this year, which y'all have the whole year to address it. I think, had the conversation with the judge, so, and then next year, we'll be able to do a better job on the budget to make it more accurately reflect. I mean, it's really, I'm not blaming anybody. It's nobody's fault anywhere other than you've got a budget that didn't reflect the actual compensation that we don't have in that year. And then prepare compensation based on whatever the actual, counting the days in and out because of the odd periods on a bi-weekly payroll. If you pay by the month, you just don't have an issue. You pay semi-monthly, you don't have an issue. It's only when you pay bi-weekly and weekly that you have this timing difference. And so maybe work closer with the budget preparation process, and we'll be glad to provide the numbers so that when y'all look at the budget, you'll be able to, you can't look at that budget and say on a clerk's salary at $20,800. Let's say that comes out $20,950. That doesn't sound like much, but when you spread that over a whole payroll, it's a...
Why don't we get away from annual pay for the support staff and go back to an hourly rate?
Well, it's a nightmare. Well, traditionally, we haven't got away from that. It'd be a totally new concept because most of the people who work in the courthouse are salaried employees. They are paid a salary, an hourly rate. We've never paid them an hourly rate for full-time employees. We've always paid them salary.
Maybe that's something we need to look at in the future.
Well, I'll tell you what, I thought we was gonna get some clarification today when we got over here, and y'all just took it way over my head. I know that I ain't the brightest candle in the candle store, but it don't make no sense to me.
Well, if I could say, here, and to maybe add to your recommendation, Bob, everybody got shortchanged on their first paycheck. Let's bring that pay back to what it was last year, plus the 5% pay raise, plus what they were shortchanged on the first paycheck, and then start from there. And if we have a shortfall at the end of the year, we'll pick it up.
That's exactly what I'm recommending.
Okay.
We have already, in anticipation, we're not trying to tell y'all what to do, but we've already calculated all of that differential, and I'm talking about for every employee in the county. We've already calculated that differential. We'll put that on this coming paycheck this Friday, and then we can restore everybody back. And then address the budget issues at the end of the year, and then next year plan for the budget issues. And
So at the end of the year, are we gonna pay the employees an extra 2 weeks?
I don't think you'll have to do that. I don't think you'll have to.
Do we have an answer now of what it's gonna cost at the end of the year?
Well, if you do a totally extra payroll, we know what it's gonna cost, it just told you $98,000. I don't think we're gonna have that.
I don't think so either.
I think we're gonna find a solution works itself out over the years.
basically, that's what I'm saying, is we're gonna work it out. Now, the cash is the cash. On October the 2nd, we're gonna write 27 payroll checks. Get the days, don't just, but we got 27 payroll days in this 2016 fiscal year. We're going to mitigate that.
Which one, can I ask which one you're starting with?
I'm talking about the actual paydays.
Hey, that's what I'm- yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm starting with October the 2nd.
Okay.
I understand October the 2nd is all salary for September. That's what I'm saying, okay?
So
And
actually,
then-
you only have 26 pay periods for this fiscal year.
Then on the second payroll, I'm talking cash, okay? And you're right, you support it. Partially right, okay? You're only partially right. The next payroll was October the 16th.
Correct.
That period covered 3 days in September and then all of October. And we're booking 3 days back in September because that's the period that it belongs in.
Well, I've done this before. Don't know.
Well, Joe,
Bob,
Joe,
Bob,
here, Joe,
Bob,
here.
Bob, wait, let me tell you something. You weren't here when I told you before. In 1985, the Supreme Court decided that counties had to pay overtime and do minimum wage. And so, the Commissioners Court got employment lawyer down to talk to them about how to do that. And it says, well, we had a storm blow over the weekend, and we had to call our men out to work on the county people to work over the weekend. And we have to pay them overtime because we can't give them old comp time the next week. You can do that for police officers and firemen and stuff, you can't do it for regular people. And this person recommended, well, here's how you do it. You make your work week run from Saturday to Friday instead of from Monday through Sunday. So if you have a weekend disaster, you can work your people and get the comp time next week. I think we did that. And so I think our work week was set in the 80s from Saturday through Friday, but it may have done it, or they may have changed it back. So I don't know.
Can you research that for me?
Shasta can look it up.
Until I get word, as far as I'm concerned, the work week starts on Monday and goes through Sunday. Okay, true. I don't want to change this in the middle while we're doing all that. But if that's what y'all want to do, if y'all want to change it from Saturday through Friday, that's good with me too. Doesn't matter, I can work with anything. Okay? But
I make a motion that we accept the treasurer's recommendation.
That motion being
Go back to what we're doing other, like you said.
Yes.
Regular payroll was 5%
Plus
plus
the losses.
reimbursement fee.
Yes.
The loss last time.
So this check that they're gonna get Friday is not gonna reflect what they're gonna draw the rest of the year. It's gonna have some add-ons.
And,
So the next check they get should be what they're gonna get the rest of the year.
and also, Commissioner Smith, I want to just complicate it a little bit more, okay?
Because you're
But he
right.
didn't- Okay, yeah, but But please, I encourage each one of you, if any employee has a question about their check, call us in the payroll department. We'll sit down and go over with them line by line. Now, this is also an unusual month. We have 3 pay periods in this month, when this happens twice a year. So what's going to happen is, on this last pay period, in order to get our accounting for our insurance coinciding with our payable, where if you have dependent coverage, for example, not everybody does, but if you have dependent coverage insurance, that's going to drop off this month. So they're going to get their back pay, their current pay, and if they have dependent coverage for their family, that's not going to be deducted. And that'll be step by step. Yeah, so this will be a good pay. So don't tell them this is what they're going to get every time. Okay?
As long as they're not making less.
Yeah, they will be making what they were making last year plus a 5% raise, and then we'll go forward.
Okay.
And I think that'll bring the temperature down all over everywhere. And if y'all want somebody to blame, say it's that treasurer. I told him that payroll department, he wasn't doing that right.
I've already-
We've never done that.
I've already said that numerous times.
What we've been telling them all along.
I know, which is okay. I'm fine, I'll take the end.
Well, I got several calls on it, and I said, wait till Monday,
Well, it's okay.
because we got a plan. So
Just so I'm clear.
now I gotta go back and tell them that, I don't know what we're gonna do, we'll get a check.
But you're gonna be happy, Friday. You may not be happy 2 weeks from Friday, but you're gonna be happy Friday.
I just want to make sure that we're clear that those who are supposed to get $10 an hour, once all this is straightened out and it's in a regular, not with the insurance and all that stuff, when they get their regular pay period, what they were promised was $10 an hour. They're going to get the $10 an hour, and those who are supposed to get $10.25 are going to get $10.25. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can tell you, yes, that's correct. That is correct.
Okay.
All right.
Have a
Got
motion,
a motion on the floor?
motion from Commissioner Chamberlain, seconded by,
We're
Commissioner Worsham, that we go with the treasurer's recommendation on getting payroll back in order. Any discussion, any more discussion?
mathematical error in there, but we'll talk about it next time we have budget.
Yeah, next budget time.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. All right. Don't sit down.
I know I'm next.
Next item of business is discuss and act on transferring the arranging of financing of all equipment and property subject to Commissioner's Court approval. That should be from the county auditor. No, I'm sorry, for the county, from the auditor's office to the treasurer's office.
What I'm proposing here is, I don't really know the statute, I'm sure Mr. Bell probably knows them, but the treasurer's already, in some statutes, the custodian of the bonds. And I think if I'm going to do an up-to-date and current debt report, I would like to be involved in the arranging of the financing, so I have all of the details at my fingertips just immediately. And so all I'm asking is that we transfer that arranging of financing, of course, it'll all be subject to approval of Commissioners Court, arranging of financing for equipment, trucks from the auditor's office to the treasurer's office.
Joe, how has it always been?
Well, it's fluid. You want me to go back 30 years?
Well, 30 years ago, it wasn't all.
I know, 30 years ago, we had a disaster. When the treasurer did everything. So she unofficially doubled her salary.
Let's talk about that more.
There is some things that Constitution says the treasurer does, and statute follow that. And some things the statute says the treasurer does. And some things the statute says the auditor does. And then there are a few things that basically you assign, y'all decide.
The auditor would still look over this and make sure everything was right after he makes the deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What you're doing right now is you're making a decision on auditor say, I don't approve, I don't like this, I don't want this done.
Well, one thing I've been confused on over the years is the treasurer has actually, when we've been, need to borrow money over here across the street, going over them legal arrangements, because I know Joe Bitter done it in the past. But when it comes to equipment or real property, I guess, or equipment, the auditor done it, and I never really understood why them delegations was, what's the difference?
I don't know either. That was different auditor, different treasurers.
And the problem I had with that, when you're talking about equipment, real property, things like that, when the auditor done it, it appears that the local lenders were never even given a shot at it.
That's the issue I have too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to assure you, any decisions I've had over the years made up here, they have always, the local lenders have always been considered.
Well,
But it's always come down to an interest, especially at a big dollar acquisition. Now, on small dollars, we would have borrowed several $1,000s across the street over here. But on a big issue, it had always boiled down to the interest, and the interest never was competitive with the interest. But I'm with you. If they're competitive, even if they're close on the interest, they don't even have to beat it because they're local and they pay taxes here in this county. I'm all for that. I'm for it.
I make a
I
motion,
think-
we approve it to move it to the treasurer's office.
Okay, good, thank you. I think the question is really just consolidating it all in one department, so we're speaking with one voice. And y'all can go ahead and vote now. I'd like to make a comment.
I have a motion to move range of financing of all equipment property subject, from the auditor's office to the treasurer's office.
I'll second that motion.
Have a second on it, any more discussion?
Very quickly, I think the county auditor ought to audit, and the treasurer ought to conduct the business financially of the county. So I think this makes a hell of a lot more sense than the way it was. And whoever the new county auditor is, certainly include them in the discussions. But I think their job is to audit what we do in the treasurer's office and all the other offices within the county. I also feel more comfortable at this moment, not knowing who the new county auditor is going to be or what their credentials are, that we have a CPA doing these things for us instead of someone who doesn't have that kind of qualifications.
Thank you. Hope I can live up to that.
Any more discussion? Not all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Hearing none. motion passes.
I'd like to comment on Commissioner Worsham about the local banks and the competitiveness. I think that once we get those numbers in, and we get those, my thought is to put it out for bids. Once they come in, then we certainly would put all of that information before the appropriate commissioner or even the commissioner's court and let y'all decide if there is a differential in interest rates, whether that's enough differential to do business with the local financial institutions, because they do pay taxes here, and or whether it's a large enough amount you want to go out somewhere else.
Right.
I just think y'all need to have.
I know when we talked to, when the securities people put the facts together on the courthouse bonds, that we asked them to consider the local people, not just here, but in Trinity too. And they did. The bids went out to everybody, and they said thank you. They realized that they was competing against some pretty big dogs, and that they couldn't own that issue there on the courthouse preservation line that we're doing.
I think all they're asking for is the opportunity to bid.
Mhm.
And then you just take your chances. That's just business.
Yes,
But
It's just
you are talking about all three banks in Trinity County.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got no problem.
All right, next item of business is, do you have anything else? I think you're done.
Am I done? Thank you. That's good.
The next item of business is discuss and act on interlocal agreement between the city of Groveton and the Trinity County Sheriff's Office. And this is dealing with coverage by the Sheriff's Office for the city of Groveton, and y'all have a copy of that, I think. And kind of reviewed it, and Mr. Bell, you've reviewed it.
Yeah.
What is the city's take on this? Have they been, do they know about this? Or they-
Yeah, they know about it, I don't know what they're trying to say about it.
Yeah, I know, the sheriff has sat down and visited with the mayor.
We don't know if we're in agreement with this.
As far as I know, they are, the mayor and the sheriff, yeah.
The city council is agreeing with it too.
Sir?
I wonder if the city council is agreeing.
They do agree?
I said, I don't know. I wonder if they.
Well, I'd have felt a lot better about it if the sheriff has been here and understand the circumstances.
Yeah, I have some questions I want to ask you. I understand you have to leave.
Judge, could
We
we?
can, since we're coming back this afternoon, we can pass on this and bring it back up this afternoon. Hopefully the sheriff will be freed up from his activities this morning. The next two items are dealing with the sheriff's office too, on interlocal agreements between,
Yeah, well, we're acting on these, if you want to, or you can wait for sure it's back.
they're pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, the one with the Walker County Commission's court approved last month,
Right.
and they didn't have to go on with it. I
Now, if I understand this correctly, on Walker County and San Jacinto County, is we're just making an agreement, we're still housing the inmates at Houston County, but Houston County ran out of room for, some lady.
I don't know if they ran out of room,
That
or
had
ran out of facilities.
Sir?
I don't know if they ran out of room or they ran out of facilities, like ability to take care of it.
Okay, special needs, and so he had to carry one to Walker County. So that's why this is on here, and I don't have a problem with it.
What's the dollar rate compared to what we pay?
One for Walker County is 37.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are high.
Yeah.
You're not saying that.
St. Jackson dropped down to 30, I believe, if that's what the sheriff told me.
Is it in the contract?
And
Unwritten contract, I never read the war
Paying
plan.
$32.
$30 a day, yes.
What we paying in Houston County?
32.
$30, 28.
Actually, I don't know, because the sheriff told me.
No, it's 32, Judge, because San Jacinto County dropped it to 30, trying to get the business back on there. But they're looking at the mileage and the transportation and all that.
We're gonna still do that.
Yeah, we got.
According to the sheriff, he's just getting these agreements in case he needs to have authority to do it.
Yep.
You know, in the event that, say, Houston County has something major happen up there, where they have to lock up a bunch of people under their authority, they can tell us, hey, y'all gotta get your inmates out and give us some space.
Well,
And this would
right.
take care of that problem.
Anytime a jail, well, the jail administrator tell me, anytime anybody's got their jail at about 80%, they start alerting people that they've got contracts to do, and hey,
Mr. Bell,
we're getting close to being.
what is that circle word there?
Y'all might need to start making other arrangements.
Judge, you want a motion for both of them at one time?
Let's do each of them separately. We're looking at the one on Walker County
Make
first.
a motion to approve. Here's another one, bring it to Walker County.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Washington to enter into this interlocal agreement or interlocal cooperation agreement with Walker County for contract jail space. Any more discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item of business is the interlocal cooperation agreement with San Jacinto County.
Make a motion to
Will
approve.
it be, they'll probably be acting on today, themselves. San Jacinto County will probably be acting on it today because I talked to Robert Kraft last week. I sent him a copy of the contract and he signed off on it.
Okay.
So I think the contract, we both agree, it is basically what we always do.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Brown. Any more discussion on that? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, next item of business is discuss and act on advance payment of the budgeted amount to the Groveton Senior Citizen Center in the amount of $3,750. This is a 25% of what we have budgeted for the senior citizen centers. And the reason they need an advance payment, they had an air conditioning unit go out that they've been babying along for I don't know how long. And this will only take care of partial payment of that. least it'll help them out, so.
When do we normally pay that, Judge?
Normally paid up in June.
We have the money.
Yes.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Worsham. Any discussion? Not all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, next item of business is discuss an act on correspondence from State Senator Nichols' office relating to the operation of certain oversized or overweight vehicles transporting timber products, or forestry equipment on certain public roadways, to wit, Jack Schaefer Road, is what we're looking at in particular. So I don't have that memo or letter from Senator Nichols' office. And this was all initiated, Mr. Smith's well aware, Ms. Jane Baxter lived down Trinity Park Road, being in contact with Senator Nichols' office.
The guy from Nichols is all, I'm trying to think of his name, that deals with these transportation issues. You know what I'm talking about, Judge?
I do.
Not JD,
No.
this other guy, but he called me one day about this. Ms. Baxter had called her office, but I think that they might be confused with the information that I got from him, that they said that we were refusing them to use the county roads, but basically what it is, I think is what we had adopted to route the traffic in different directions. I think even with the legislation, we have the authority to do that. Or, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bell, have them contractors put a bond up if they want to use a specified road. Is that
That's what Cherokee County does.
Yes.
Post bond.
I mean, we're not, you know, the correspondence I had with the gentleman in Mr. Becker's office is, we're not telling them that they cannot use Jack Schaefer Road. We're just going by the letter of the law of the authority. The only authority we have with the permit is either or. You can use another route, or you can put a bond up, and if there's any disrepair of the road, then they will be responsible for it.
This issue has been going on since January of 13 when I took office. And at no time have they, anybody on Trinity Park Road been refused access to haul their wood out. The issue is the landowners and the people that's making the money are tearing the road up, the only paved road we have in my precinct, and they don't want to fix it. So they have another route that they can go. And last year I spent all winter widening the road, cutting all the brush and stuff off, where it would be safer for them to get their trucks out. But when this letter was wrote to Senator Nichols, it was made to sound like that they had timber in this location, and I wouldn't let them bring it out on the county road. Well, I don't have that authority. The only authority I have is to route them. I have to give them access, and that's what we've done. That's what this court has done. They want to fix the road, so be it. If they don't want to fix it, then they need to go down the dirt road.
Can they, like Commissioner Worsham was talking about, we have them post bond, and in the event they tear the road up,
That's what Cherokee
only
County
responsible
does.
for fixing the
I'm
road?
not for that, Judge, I'm telling you now.
Well, you don't have the authority to tell them not to, if they want to bond it, and that's the way I understand the legislation.
Well, we don't have bonds in this county. Y'all told me 2 years ago, when we had this discussion, you told me that they're too complicated and we don't have them. And now you're telling me we can, so which is it?
We had them, and it's the law.
Well, it wasn't a law 2 years ago, when all this was coming
We
up.
just didn't have any. We didn't think we wasn't gonna have any, so we just didn't have at the time, because most contractors, on a short sale of timber, they're not gonna go through the process of getting an expensive bond and the possibility of having to make a road repair if there's an alternate route. They're not gonna do it. That's why we've never had, that's what we said 2 years ago, we never had one. Not that we can't have one, we just never had
Our
one.
permits that we require here in the county have a slot for a bond amount on them.
But most of the contractors I deal with, they're not going to put bond up it because they're too expensive and if there's too much liability for them, if they do have to fix the road.
Well, I think each and every one of y'all sitting on this court has been down that road that I'm talking about, and you have seen personally the damage that the log trucks have done. And the damage is on, coming off of Trinity Park, going towards Highway 94, is on the right-hand side. And I have tried to work with all the companies and let them bring their log trucks in empty on Jack Schaefer and then go out the other end. But we spent about $5,000 trying to patch that road after these loggers had tore it up. So,
Which if we'd had bonds in place, we could have held them accountable for the payment of these costs.
Your problem is, whose bond do you go against?
that's exactly right. When you have 4 different contractors, in January of 13, the second day of January, when I started to work that morning, the log trucks were lined up going down Jack Schaefer. And the road, you could actually see it bubbling. And I came to Groveton and talked to the judge right then. I didn't know what I could do and what I couldn't do. And he said, well, you can't let them tear your road up. So that's where this started. At that time, there was 4 different contractors out on Jack Schaefer Road. on Trinity Park Road. And I met with a little forester. He called me and wanted to meet. And I showed him the holes and what they were doing to the road. And he stood there and told me that he wasn't going to obligate his landowners to fix my county road. And I told him this damn truck wasn't going to travel over it then. And that's the law.
That's the whole ideal behind this system we got. We call it the terminology permit, which is wrong, and I try to tell the contractors now, it's basically a notification, and the tool that it does is to let us know. A lot of times we get busy on the other end of the precinct, some of the other people move in. We just like to know you're there. Just fill the papers out so we know that you're there. And we're not asking you to pay for a permit. Most of it can be done over a fax machine or telephone. It's a notification, so if there's 4 or 5 out there working on the road, then we'll know who was there first and who wanted to asked to get a bond.
There's another tool that other counties use, I mentioned it before, called the driveway permit. When they put in a new driveway, new opening to access the road from the place, the county requires a permit. So you now know that somebody else is now accessing the road that hadn't been before, and keep up that way.
That's on the new.
New driveway.
Yeah. And most of these were existing roads.
I didn't walk the road, really, but I've seen them. They'll cut the fence
Yeah.
to go in, you got a new driveway.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this. Since this has been going on, most of the loggers that have hauled logs in Precinct 3 are good, honest, hard-working people. We have had an outlaw or two that was hauling at night, in the middle of the night, my phone was ringing off the wall. I could hear the trucks coming down Trinity Park Road from my house. This is no hearsay, I can go down there and look at them. We've had a few problems with that logger's not here anymore. But most all your logging companies are from out of county. They come in here, they haul their logs, they tear your road up, and then they're out of here. And a lot of times they never notify you that they're even on your property or on your road. So, all that needs to be taken into consideration.
Now, at one time, I don't know if it's still true, all the permits issued, the Trinity County are public record. But they'll be operating in several counties at one time, so you don't know when they're operating here. I don't know how much that would help.
generic to do with that legislation, they'll just send you a copy, like you said, so they're gonna be operating in 17 counties in East Texas at some time in the future. Which I think that was fixed this past session, that wording there.
So what's your opinion on how we can rectify this problem, Mr. Bell?
Other than having a sheriff, deputy sheriff living on the corner,
Yeah, constantly policing the road.
we've done most of everything we tried. We tried bonds if we want to. Again,
You could try what?
we could try making those bonds. But
What's wrong with the way we're doing it now?
they have access. No? They're complaining.
Yeah. One person complaining from what I understand.
Let me see what the legislature did this last time, change the law. We don't know who here to speak.
That's what the Senate Bill 1171.
Now, I see the attached. But some of the references are to so-and-so and so-and-so.
I think at the very least, to address this issue with Senator Nichols' office, we need to draft up a letter, county judge or somebody, and that's approved to send back to them and let them know. I mean, I talked to them on phone, but from a court standpoint, let them know that we're not trying to lock in.
Right.
Or supersede anything instead of Texas.
And they do have access to all the jails.
Right.
Everything they did this last time was basically a bunch of timber into the farm and ranching business. Their exceptions. One of those like
I put that in form of motion, we need a motion to let you guys, or
Okay.
vote to draft a letter up to Nichols' office and clarification on this.
Okay, we'll do that.
I'll say.
We have a motion by Commissioner Worthing, seconded by Commissioner Smith, to draft a letter out of my office back to Senator Nichols' office and stating exactly what we got going on here in Trinity County. And I can report back to the court, our next meeting, what we find out on that. Any more discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item of business is receive updates on the following projects and discuss an act where applicable. First, Hurricane Ike is going away.
Yeah, we had asked that that be struck from
Yeah.
the agenda and just to discuss any grant-related projects. They've all been finished except for a grant that we're hoping to get for about $350,000, and we have no word on progress there, still in the middle. That is my report.
That's from the Department of Agriculture, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, no action needed there. I guess if nobody has anything else, we'll recess at this time and come back at 2 o'clock.
You'll be able to excuse me, Judge?
Yes, sir. I made contact with the State Jail Commission, and the girl told me, Mr. Wood is headed to East Texas. That's all she told me, so. Hopefully by 2 o'clock he will leave.
It'll be somewhere these days.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the state, right?
Mr. Wood, the one that y'all went to Austin and met with?
Yes. He's,
Is he coming on his own or is he requesting?
I think he's coming on his own, I haven't heard of
Stand adjourned.
it. Well, it's in recess, especially.